What's up, folks? Welcome to another episode of the 10 Horse Monty YouTube channel. We're out here on the Strip Pit Lakes. If you know, you know. If you don't, well, too bad, you'll figure it out. But I'm out here with Jason Huskey, owner of Huskey Outdoors. You're going to be seeing some of the Huskey Outdoor products today. We're going to showcase some of the stuff that he's making. He's got some pretty cool ideas, and hopefully we're going to catch some fish. It's going to be a hot one. I mean, mid-90s, got a little bit of a breeze, thank God. Humidity's up there, and we're going to stay out here as long as we can. We'll be doing a little bit of scanning, trying to figure out how to locate these fish in their summertime patterns out here on the old strip pits. So here we go. There he is. Yeah, it's a good one. Get him out of that pile. Got some meat to him. Back my catfish. Ooh, yeah. It's a good one. Good one. Dude, that's a tank. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. If I was talking about something. Yo, dude, look at that whitefish. That's what we came for right there. Big Shakeyhead, huh?
Yep.
Is that your 7-inch model, or what's that called?
Yeah, big perfect trick.
Perfect trick. Good solid fish, man. Good work, dude.
Thank you, girl.
Another good quality fish. This lake's got them. They want that darker worm for sure.
There you go.
It's a good solid fish, man. Good solid fish.
Number 2.
2.
3 more will have a bag.
Secret color. You selling that color or not? You don't sell that color yet, do you? It's your secret formula.
Deep purple.
Yeah. June bug, purplish kind of.
Blue fleck.
Blue fleck. A little bit of everything in there. It's working for sure.
One of those mistake colors.
Oops.
I do have the formula on my desk though.
Okay. Somebody told me that there's so much fertilizer from these fields around here that it kills the grass off, which is probably why we got this big algae bloom. We had all that rain last week, I guess it was. Probably washed it all in here. But that's probably why these fish grow so big too. Just like a golf course.
Like Times Beach.
Yeah, exactly. I was just talking about that the other day to somebody. I was talking to Dale Coven down at Bull Shoals. We were talking about nuclear sites that are uninhabitable now. And I mentioned that Times Beach thing.
You got great big giant deer.
You can't eat them, but they're big. I'd be worried about coming eye to eye with a mountain lion or a bear or something. Sasquatch, who knows? There could be one standing right there and you wouldn't even know it. Yeah, big old head.
That'd be a good trick, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Put a costume on.
You scare the hell out of people. You probably get shot. You just never know. It's a big world.
Yeah.
You know, you have to see it to actually believe it. It's one of those things, most likely.
Yeah.
To 100% believe it.
You know,
Good one?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. It's nice to see a fish.
I'm getting any bites, but man.
A lot better quality.
The right ones. fish will not open their mouth.
Yeah, it's another good solid fish. Caught him in the goatee. Good work, man. My man's kicking my butt over here. He won't give me one of his special worms. It's a secret color.
My gosh, there's Sasquatch in the world right now. But all the people that are around and game cameras and all that.
Yeah.
Why in the world haven't we gotten photos?
I know. Well, apparently, you know, it's all speculation, but they can see the infrared from the game cams, so they avoid them. They can see that beam shooting, and that's what trips. You know, something walks across that beam, it trips the camera. They can see that, so they avoid it. If you're just driving down the road, and all of a sudden one comes out across the road, by the time you reach for something, it's gone. Yeah. You know. Dang, nice. We're definitely on the quality today.
Hey, one more, bud.
Yeah. Well, let me get my little worm screwed on here. Good job. Barely. It's a nice one, man.
A little skinnier than the other.
Yeah, it looks a little post-spawnish.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. He gave me one of his worms. It's the last one. We'll see if it's the fisherman or the worm. It's probably the fisherman.
Depends on what I'm throwing. Throwing Shakeyhead. There he is. Oh, yeah.
It's the worm. It's not the fisherman, thank God. I'm starting to get a complex. That's another decent fish. Yeah, he was in that tree. Digging, boy. Got a grown one. Some meat on the bones.
Love it. Gotta love that sound of that line going through the water.
There we go. Oh yeah. Bad in here.
All twins out here.
Yes, sir. Give me a buster. Yeah, I'm on the board. Look at there, man. That's the worm, man. That's the deal, folks. Something about that worm, that action, and that color, and this nasty green algae water. We're just focusing on treetops. You know, just isolated treetops. He's got the active target going up there so we can see what's going on. And I mean, it's slow, but when we set the hook, it's one of these. It's a nice one. Make sure I don't tear my worm up. I had to rent this worm. It's on. I got to give it back at the end of the day.
Yeah, he's got closer to 3¾
They're just so dang mean.
Yeah, they probably got 17, 18 pounds.
I think so.
That's another
There we go.
big one like that one this morning. We had 20.
Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with that fish.
Yeah, close to 4.
Good solid fish. All right, we're up here at the workstation of Mr. Husky, and he's got a pretty sweet office up here. Got a 15-inch Lowrance graph, got the Humminbird 360 on here. He's running an active target, and there's his bait. I thought it was his bait.
It was.
Okay, so we're looking at a brush pile right here, and we were just talking about how it's hard to see it on 360 sometimes, depending on the angle of the sun and whether or not it's creating the shadow. So you can't really, obviously you can see it right here, and it should be up in this area somewhere on the 360, and it's a little bit hard to pick up, and that is just the way it goes. But then there's some times where we were saying what the 360 is a lot better in certain situations. Or
Oh yeah, so like when you get in them flatter banks, or this thing's panning all the way around the boat all the time, you know, and I try to keep this moving when I'm fishing, especially in the winter time, just looking for any suspended fish that are around. But when you're fishing, say 10 foot, 15 foot of water, and this thing's constantly spinning, I couldn't tell you how many times it's running the deal, and you look over there, and you look on your graph, and you're like, well shoot, there's a lay down or something on the bottom I didn't see. Throw over there, you know, bam. And that's where having these two together, to me, is the perfect system.
And one of the the things that I've been learning, we were just talking about that. I'm using live scope where he's got the active target, but it's really useful for seeing these drops. You know, you really can pinpoint the drop. You can go down the bank and you can see the different, like especially in a strip pit, you got a lot of areas where it gets flat, and then all of a sudden there's a gorge where, you know, the crane actually dug out a drop, and you can really target those drops.
Yeah, so you can keep your, you know, your boat. Look at that one. He won't bite, but that, I like to keep my boat about 40 foot off of the depth I'm concentrating on. So if I'm keeping it at 15 foot, you know, I'm perfect right now. I can throw up on the drop and work it down. If you get too close to it, then your bait will start pendulum them away from the drop too fast, and you'll get away from the drop. Or if you're too far, then your bait will pendulum. It's about finding that right depth to how far you cast to keep your bait in that depth zone that you're concentrating on. And that's where this is. It's not just suspended fish and brush piles, you know, it's drops. It's any way you line it up. You know, in the old days, you pick that tree, and that tree, and you triangulated it.
Right.
Well, now you have waypoints, and then you have this to, like you said, on these strip pits, this thing runs like it's not a straight wall down through there. You can't just keep one distance away from the bank. You know, go troll and then turn your active target and look and see where you're at. Once you figure out what depth they're at, you know, then you can keep it lined up and use this in conjunction with it, and it's dynamite. I love the 360, and I love that live scope, active target. Either one, they're both great. So
you can see we got a pretty heavy duty algae bloom going on right here.
Yeah,
it's actually picking it up on the active target.
Yeah,
it's just going to make things interesting. You've got a thermocline out there in about 18, and then you've got this algae bloom right here. You can see fish kind of sitting above that algae bloom right there. There's some bait.
Yeah,
there's clearly some fish relating to the top of this drop right here in that brush pile.
Yeah, we're not seeing those fish out here deeper. We're seeing those fish up shallower. So it's going to be interesting how that plays out today.
Yeah.
I was really hoping they'd be out deep, but we'll see. They might be.
That's what it's all about with bass fishing, man, and crappie fishing, whatever, is putting the pieces of the puzzle together. It's different every day. So you got to get out here and see what's going on. And, you know, forward-facing sonar is really, really useful for figuring out what the heck is going on out there. If not, you're just kind of blind casting. I mean, you can target visible cover, and then you have your waypoints, and you can cast at your waypoints, but sometimes it takes you like 4 or 5 casts to hit that brush pile with active target or live scope. I mean, there's no hiding it. It's right there.
Yeah, and I don't spend a lot of time. I'll get everything lined up before I ever make a cast. You know, it's just, I don't pull up and start casting around trying to find it. I get everything lined up, and I like for my bait to be in that zone, in that area, as much as possible.
Look at those fish. Suckers. They're giving us the middle fin, man. That's what they do. Oh yeah. Chunky little monkey. There he is. Yeah, he was chewing on it, man. My line never got tight. I'm like, I'm just gonna let him eat it. Here we go, folks. Catching a few fish. It is hot out here. It is a grind, but it beats sitting at the house, and it definitely beats working.
Took your worm?
Yeah, took my worm. I love watching those shad jump out of the water.
Close to the top, they get 8.
It's a tough life.
Man.
Yeah.
There ain't no escaping.
I think if you're like a serial killer or a baby rapist, you come back in your second life as a shad.
Just get tormented every day.
Yep. Get up in here. Nice. It's more like it. Solid.
Maybe I was wrong. Yeah, last one wasn't the biggest fish I've been catching today.
I think there's still more here. Calling the shots, man. Here we go. Bad things my audio's gonna record. Good fish, bro. Baby. All right, folks, that is a wrap. We survived the day. It was brutally hot out there. Thank God that we did have some wind, and I played netman today. I watched this guy jack them all day long on the Shakeyhead, but it was nice to just be out there, enjoy some time. First time we've got to fish together. We've talked about it for a while and finally made it happen. Strip pit lakes, man. It's all about finding the rock. You find that rock, figure out where the thermocline's at. We saw that thermocline in, what was it, like 18-ish?
Yeah, Super Lake is 18.
So 18-ish. And so it's all about finding that rock and that, you know, thermocline and putting it all together. And then we had some trees, you know, the fish were in the trees for sure. That was another pattern that we found. But it was a Shakeyhead day. We were fishing a couple different Shakeyheads. The first Shakeyhead was made by Huskey Outdoors here. It's a little smaller one. This is the Perfect Trick Junior, is that right?
Yep.
Okay, so I had this one rigged up on just a Jewel Pro Shakeyhead on a 1/4 ounce, and I was getting a few bites on that. And this is kind of a June bug, plum kind of color, I'm not sure, but something darker. There was an algae bloom in the lake, so it seemed like the darker colors were the key. I threw watermelon and green pumpkin, and I never got a sniff on it. And he was throwing that darker color, and that seemed to be the deal. And then there was another worm that we were throwing, which is the...
Yeah, just a Perfect Trick.
Okay.
So that's a 7.5 inch worm. Same, it's the same design, just this is the original, and then the Junior's just a downsized version of it.
Yeah, so here's the two. Here's the comparison of the two.
Yep. That's the two worms we were throwing. I was throwing mine on the... You can get these at Pattern Tackle. It's their Chalk Dog line. It's a Tungsten Shakeyhead, a 5/0 hook, and I was throwing the 3/8 size. It's great, but it's a great Shakeyhead. It comes through brush and rock really well, and that's what I threw all day, paired with this worm and the Trick Junior, and that's pretty much what all of our fish came on.
Yeah, I was throwing similar setup. This is the Magnum Shakeyhead by Cumberland Pro, but it's a 7/0 hook with a keeper on there, you know, flat spot on there so it stands up. And that's another cool thing about the Huskey Outdoor worms, is they are like a high float plastic, so that tail floats up off the bottom, and you know, it just kind of sits there. Especially on a day like today where we had a lot of current, you could just kind of let it sit and let the current do all the action. A lot of the bites were dead sticking. I mean, I'm sitting here talking like I got a lot of the bites. How were all the bites? Were you dead sticking or what? I was watching.
No, I mean, it was some of them, yeah, when you get into the brush, you really had to let it sit and let the worm do its work. The bite was tough. I mean, honestly, the bite was tough. But the bites we got were quality bites.
Yep.
A lot of 3+ pound fish. Not a lot, but probably 8 or 9 good 3 pound plus fish on the day, and some smaller ones too. But you know, it's finding the right, like Gabe said, you know, when you went to go to one lake, figure it out, then we moved to another lake and start over, found out there a little deeper on rock and concentrated on that, and started getting, we wasn't over there what, a couple hours, and had some pretty nice bites over there on Super Lake, and felt like we could have had a lot more if we had some more time to mess around there.
Yeah, and we kind of got out there a little bit late. We got on the water probably 8:30 or so, maybe a little bit later. So we, you know, the sun had been up for 3 hours. We definitely missed that morning bite, and there was a little bit of a bite going on, but it was, you know, it's summertime. The water temp was like, I saw 94 at one time on your graph.
Yeah.
Yeah, 94 with an algae bloom, bluebird skies, air temperatures were 100. You got some humidity out there. We were the only person on the lake for quite a while. Yeah. On both lakes.
Yeah.
And we, you know, I'm sure those Illinois boys were going, what are these Missouri boys doing over there? But we stayed out there, man. We caught some fish. We made it happen. There's a lot of times where a day like today, you wouldn't even get a bite. You know, I've been there where it's just a struggle to get a bite, but something to be said about idling around, graphing areas, not stopping until you find what you need to find. The active target is key. You can really put an anchor mode in on the Lowrance trolling motor, spot lock on the Ultrex, whatever, sit there and just cast to that spot and just soak it, because that's what it takes on a day like today. So,
and you got that 360 going, and then those rocks.
Yeah, that's right.
Those rocks really pop in that 360, so you can kind of line up where the rock lines were, and it really helps. It's like I said, out there on the boat, it's such a great combination when you have live scope, active target, and 360 all going together. And you've seen it today, how much you can see around the boat at one time, spot lock, you know. And I had the active target turned on for he could watch it in the back of the boat, which was
cool.
Pretty cool.
First time I ever did that.
Yeah. So yeah, so he was seeing kind of what I was seeing when I was in the active target mode, but then, you know, the 360 going at the same time, and it's like, yeah, right over here, you know. And it's kind of cool when you get it dialed in, you know exactly what you need to find.
Mm-hmm. It is. Yeah, they work hand in hand. I mean, that's the first time I'd really seen the forward facing and the 360 work together, and there's a time and place for all of it for sure. So, but that's a wrap, guys. Thanks for checking out the channel. Give me a thumbs up and a sub if you appreciate the content. Till next time.